Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Code Geass Season 2, which was a recommendation by Danner. Thank you, Danner, for the wonderful recommendation. Truly a good show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But before that, honestly, not really much of a pre-show. We were just chatting, trying to figure out what we were going to watch for next week's choice. If you want to hear part of that conversation, feel free to join us at patreon.com/featured anime podcast. $1 a month to get you access to that bonus content, or you can always join us and hang out with us on YouTube and on Twitch. Both of those are available for everyone to be able to come and hang out with us when we stream live. Now, also, I don't want to forget about some nice, delicious Tokyo Treats. Tokyo Treats is a wonderful box that comes in every single month for me. Has wonderful, delectable little treats in there. I enjoy it every single month, and they always are delicious. If you want to help support us, help us grow through that way, you can use our affiliate link in the show notes along with coupon code Featured Anime. Get $5 off that very first box, and trust me, those treats are worth it. And if you don't want to get yourself some Tokyo Treats, which I don't know why you want to have some nice, delicious treats, but just in case, we do have affiliate links for you for Crunchyroll down there, so that way you can watch some anime and then also get yourself a little bit of a discount off their store. Both those affiliate links are down there for you. And then don't forget to buy yourself some Swinky swag at shop.featuredanimepodcast.com. And now, on to the meat and brotatoes. Code Geass Season 2 originally came out in April 2008 all the way through September 2008. A couple producers for it are MBS, Bandai Visual, and Project Geass. It is an original. Genres for it are action, mecha, military, sci-fi, drama, psychological thriller, and it is 25 episodes long. Now, Season 2 picks up right after where Season 1's cliffhanger leaves off, kind of, yep. Where it begins with Lelouch kind of going through a daily school life routine, and over the course of the episode, you learn that he actually lost his memories, and Cece only then coming in towards the end of the episode to use her plot words to help restore his memory along with his Geass through the power of that plot. Now, he does resume his identity as Zero. He leads the Black Knights, rebelling against Britannia, but the conflict quickly escalates from just Japan to a more global scale, involving all the major powers across the world, and it focuses on Lelouch's complex strategies against everyone else around him, his relationship with Suzuka and his own family. And then it also deals a lot with a fair amount of dramatic plot twists and building up towards that overall climactic ending.
I'd say satisfying climactic ending, but yes.
Yes. Well, satisfying is one way to say it. Everyone has their opinion on it. And it is still debated on that ending. That ending is still debated.
Really? Why? Well, we can talk about it after.
Yes. I was going to say, do you really want to jump into the ending right now? Do you really want to just go straight for that? So I will say this, couple of your answers would have been answered.
Not to say that I feel vindicated, but
how do you feel that? How? You were trying to make the argument saying that he should be able to.
I was asking if it would have worked.
I said no.
And you're like, that would never happen. That would never happen. That would never happen.
Which it didn't.
It did.
No, it didn't.
It didn't. The scenario, you're right. The scenario didn't happen. However, the action did. And you're like, he wouldn't do it. And he did it.
No, I didn't say he wouldn't do it. I said it can't be done. I'm saying he can't do it. He can't have that person heal, which, guess what? I was right.
Yes. the end of it was right, but you spent a little bit of time essentially telling me it was a dumb scenario because it would never happen.
No,
he would never issue that command.
I said it's a dumb scenario because you're asking what would happen if Suzuka got cancer, and that what would happen if he told him to heal like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that's not a realistic scenario because you're having it take place after the show. That is why. So you can't say you're vindicated because you brought up a very unrealistic scenario.
I brought up a specific scenario. Unfortunately, Suzuka was the only one I could actually think about.
Right. And I said it wouldn't work on Nunnally.
You said basically it wouldn't turn people into mutants.
Right. Which I was right. Yeah. And I also said he can't use it on Nunnally because her eyes are always shut.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which was
now I misunderstood because I thought Nunnally's eyes weren't shut because of her blindness, not because
that was why
psychosomatic.
Well, we were told that she was blind because of a psychosomatic thing, and her eyes were always closed because of it.
Yeah. So my thought was if he were to wrench her eyes open so that he could see her retina, would it have worked? Because, eye contact was important.
Right. But so here's the thing, right? I don't know because.
Yeah, no, it's a non-knowable right now.
Because do you have to be able to, here's the thing, right? Do you have to be able to see or does it just have to have eye contact? Right.
And to that point, would cataracts block the Geass?
I mean, technically it does with what is it called? That special with contact lenses.
Yeah. So I mean, in theory, yeah, you would need good eyesight.
Yeah, in theory. And here's the other thing that we got an answer to, right? It doesn't have to be, it can't be through a video for it. However, it can be reflected off mirrors.
Through a mirror. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. No, not a mirror. Not a mirror.
Mirrors.
Mirrors. Yeah, plural. It could be reflected through many. So that was another one we got the answer to. All right. It's like,
that was interesting.
So I mean, the whole direct eye contact is like a little shaky. It's like eye contact as long as there is that eye contact through multiple mirrors and it's direct. And
well, I mean, I feel like it's technically direct. Medusa's gaze doesn't really work here per se, because in that effect, Medusa's gaze mirrors didn't affect her visage, but in this particular case, you would need a legitimate obstruction. And a mirror would give essentially a clear line of sight. Yeah. So that's odd, but I get it.
Yeah.
Odd, but I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my question originally was the reason you and I were fighting so hard is I feel like I was asking if he was to ask an unreasonable request, an undoable thing without altering your physical body, could it be done? And you're like, it would never happen. I was like, son of a. So I used. I foolishly used the cancel.
Yeah, I said
originally you said you're not answering because it's stupid.
Yeah, and I didn't say it would never happen. I said it can't happen. You're asking him to do this, and I said you're asking him to grow the mutant gene X. You're having him become Wade Wilson and become immortal. I was like, that's what you're asking for. I was like, it can't happen. That won't happen. That's what I was saying, which I was right. Yeah. That did not happen.
You were correct. It took a long time to get you to even consider my idea of him.
No,
it's not to force.
No, it's not even.
I used a bad example because I only used Suzuka because that's the only name I remembered.
No, you could have said something within the realm of possibility to the show, and you're like, hey, what if he gets cancer? It's like, why would I? That's dumb. Like, I'm not going to answer that because that's after the show, after everything's already said and done. Right? It's like, what does it matter at that point? What does it matter? You're asking about something that has like treatments and everything like that's not going to kill him right away. If you were to phrase it in the way that it happened here, like, look, what if this happened, right? Is this a possibility?
I should have said, what if he was shot?
Right.
I should have said, what if he was shot?
If he was shot, I would have been like, hey, you know, a normal human reaction would be like to say, yes, I'm going to try and do this. I am heartbroken over this happening. That would have been an entirely different scenario, but you didn't. You set it up for a long term,
a long shot. Yeah.
Yes.
Again, I wasn't quite thinking clearly on the scenario. I'm happy that whoever was directing the show had a more succinct idea of how to use the Geass effectively.
Yes, obviously.
But I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that, I immediately called my wife. I said, "You're never gonna guess what." And she goes, "Okay, what?" I'm so happy right now. Jack was wrong. He was wrong.
So here's the thing. What was I wrong about? What was I wrong about?
Let me finish. Let me finish. That was my first. That the premise would never occur.
I never said it would never occur. I said again, the premise of him.
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. In the midst of my conversation, she goes, "What was he wrong about?" And so I explained the situation, and then she, as smart as she is, says, "Well, he technically never said that wouldn't happen." And then you got him to talk about it, and then he said it probably wouldn't create a mutant gene, so it wouldn't have done it anyway. I'm like, I mean, technically, yeah. So I'm less happy now, but I'm happy that my idea wasn't it was not as outlandish as I originally thought. So my wife came to bat for you. As much as I dislike it at times, you know, she does. So yeah, I was like, well, I mean, technically he was right, but at the same time, I was right on my train of thought because I thought it would work, and we found out that not even the main character thought it wouldn't work.
Well, again, so it's if you had phrased the question completely differently. If you had said if Suzuka is shot, right? What would happen? Right? What would happen if he tried to do this? If this happened with him, what would happen? That's a really great question. That I have no idea. And that is within the realm of possibility, especially if it's someone right in front of you. Yes, I agree. That is 100. If I was in that position, for sure. However, telling someone to just like, hey, bro, grow, you're going to become a mutant now, start doing backflips across the floor and everything like that, become Wolverine. No. Right.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, he made the attempt. He didn't even know. So
I didn't say he wouldn't make the attempt. At no point did I ever say that. I have the entire transcript. All right?
Oh, I believe you.
I'll send it to you.
I'm gonna get a bad read. That's how I feel about that. I'm gonna get a bad read out of it. And you're like, see. I'm like, that's not how I said it. Yes, those are the words I said, but the inflection's all wrong.
That's not what I meant. No.
It was sarcasm. You can't read the sarcasm.
No, you can't. Why does it say Billy Bob 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 right there somewhere in the middle? Don't worry about that. Yeah. No, look. Again, phrasing is always very important. Phrasing is really, really important because if you don't phrase the question right, if you don't go about it correctly, it is going to, set unrealistic expectations or ideas as to what it is actually being asked. Right.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I
reach for the moon.
I don't always say what I mean. I always say a lot of stuff, but you kind of got to decipher what I'm actually asking. Unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, you went the very wrong.
We walked through it thankfully with proper dialogue rather than a shut down and change the subject. We got through it, and we got to the core of my question, which was, do you think you could change it? And unfortunately, you were right.
CJ says, I don't say what I mean, so he's a liar.
No. I didn't quite say he's a liar.
You insinuated it. You insinuated it.
I didn't say that, but CJ did, and he's really reliable. So I'm gonna go with what he said.
So you're saying that you're a liar? Because I think he's calling you out. Saying
I
hero.
wasn't him. Or, I think there's two parts of that sentence. The first one is I don't say what I mean. That reflects me. So he's a liar. So if it's still me, I'm saying you're a liar. Technically, according to what CJ's saying, if you would break down his sentence. That being said, phenomenal anime. Twists, turns, leaps, dives, crashes, triumphs.
Indeed.
Well worth being in the top 5, top 10 of a lot of different rating lists.
Yeah. CJ said you just confused yourself. So here, I said, so what you asked was
it's a who's on first situation.
No. I have it pulled up. Don't worry.
All right, let's see what you got.
Because I said you're talking about cancer. I said, yeah, you're asking about cancer. And you go, well, I was any kind of illness. I just picked cancer out of the blue because it's something, but as long as it's curable.
Yeah.
Illness is illness still a far-fetched reach compared to this. And I said it had to be, and I even said, hey, as long as it's mechanical within reason, right? The next question is, would it force someone to force the person to be able to walk again if you heal them? I said, yeah, you could have solved the initial line of thought, saying, instead of, I don't care, you could have said something along the lines, it had to be an external force, is what you said, because you asked that question, would you be able to walk again? Yep. And then you went into that. And I said, how would I know? Which is 100% true. How would I know? How would I know if that's what you're going for? I said, you're asking about that and it's something else. He's just like, I'm just curious. That's all it is. It comes to anime stuff. And well, I mean, the question is, you're asking certainly not that. It's like, hey, bro, can he become Wade Wilson? It's like, no, he can't. And that's what I said.
That was all you. I never said anything. I never brought up Wade Wilson.
No, yeah. I said you were like, hey, bro, can he become Wade Wilson? And I said, no.
Oh,
because that's what
we got past that because you were like,
no,
I brought cancer into. You're right, and then you're like, but no, that's not possible. So, okay, fine. Any actual illness, I just think of cancer as
again,
being
illness. Illness. This is not a mechanical illness. Is not something that you're gonna die in the heat of the moment from.
Correct. And so again, at the time, I was asking if the ability would be able to make you do things you typically would not be able to do. I mean, obviously, we now know the answer is no.
Right.
At the time, you and I were just spitballing ideas, and you were being hurtful. Anyway.
Yeah. So
we found out, unfortunately, due to death in the anime, that no, you can command a dying person to live, and it won't
keep them from dying.
Change them. Yeah, it won't keep them from dying. It won't prevent the inevitable.
However, you can, if you give someone a specific command, you can use that command to your own advantage, like Suzuka does numerous times, because he was told to live, and he ends up using that to his own battle advantage.
Yes, it almost seems like not a manipulator, a multiplier for his ability. Like, he can't kick it into overdrive, but he can kick it into instinct drive, if you will. Like, there were fights that he was very, very likely to lose, but he enacted his Geass, which pushed him, I think, past his limits to win, because the order was to live, and he made the conscious effort and decision to not flee. And if you're not going to flee, and you're supposed to live, your only other option is to win, right?
Yeah,
kind of, sort of.
I said, yeah. I didn't. Okay, I don't know.
There was a delay, so all I saw was you look. I'm like, I'm kind of.
There was no delay. I said, yeah.
On my end, there was a delay.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it was. I looked at you. It was like, yeah. I was like, I got nothing against that. It was like your only option. If you can't run away, you have to win. And he does specifically point out too at a couple of points where he's Like, man, my Geass is really wanting me to run away. Is this situation not winnable?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really turning a handicap into an advantage. And he ended up just being a damn boss. But I will say this. In the second season, it made me realize that Geass really wasn't all that rare or exclusive at all, because every third person seemed to have a Geass of their own. I just thought of something. And
yes, everyone
I think
has
they answered it in the anime. I think they answered it in the anime, but I want to know if you caught it or what your opinion is on this particular subject. Orange Boy came back with the ability to cancel Geass, right?
Yes.
Does that mean if Lelouch was willing, would he be able to issue a command, use Orange Boy to wipe the command away, and then issue a new command?
Yes.
Do you think he could do it as many times as he wanted?
Yes.
That pair is essentially broken.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's
and the reason
I'm surprised
why
he didn't.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because when it gets canceled, you see that because whenever Lelouch does his Geass, you see this shift for these circles or whatever it is to signify the change. And when he canceled it, they reverted back to what they were, which in my mind means that he could technically use that command again. With the dying person, he technically did try to use it again on them.
Yes, after the cancel. Yes. So that's why I was like, did it not take because it was a second use? Or did it not take because it was not really, it wasn't something that could be achieved? And then later on, I think I remember him re-Geassing one or two people who got the Geass on them originally.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't quite remember exactly if it happened again or not. Hence my question.
Yeah. But yes, that would be my assumption on that.
So, I mean, so in this one, I found it to be very, very thrilling because instead of it being a action-packed, shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, Gundam style show, it was a very psycho killer, methodical twists and turns you that just shock you thriller of an anime that sprinkled in Gundam fights.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, given that the studio is Sunrise, that does not surprise me. That this is very Gundam-esque, you know?
Yeah, it was well done. It was incredibly well thought out. The planning was genius. The hopelessness, the sheer smugness, the despair, the triumph, and then the clarity. It is from start to finish, season 1 to season 2, a complete anime, and I can't quite say that happens too often. Well, I can't say it happens hardly ever, but the way that things are set up, it's very easy to see why it ranks so high. And I'm going to rank it much higher than I did before, because everything that I saw was resolved in very short order. Every issue I had from season 1 into here, I noticed was very, very well put together.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I look forward to the movies if we watch them.
Yeah, the movies, as far as I know, at least those first 5 movies are going to be all basically a recap of the 2 seasons. As far as I know, I'll watch them and I'll let you know. But I know that there are a lot of other movies that are out there and some other plots and stories and another season that's out there that actually revolves around Suzuka and Lelouch. That I think takes place actually in between, takes place somewhere in between season 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Okay.
But there's a lot more out there for it. So,
okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of, I'm not gonna say unanswered stuff, but open-ended storylines. They weren't necessary for the plot. They didn't really do too much as far as moving anything forward. They were just like nice little blips here and there. World flavor, if you will. And yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that the surprises really didn't stop. The shock, I didn't see that coming every third episode. You would think you'd get tired of it. You don't. You don't, because you're like, oh, that's the last one. Okay. I can follow this now. And there are hints, there are little crumbs, if you will, in previous episodes that when you watch with clarity of what's going to happen, hindsight's 2020. When you rewatch it, you're like, I can't believe I missed that. This is a glaring arrow pointing at this problem and or this revelation that I didn't notice until it was spoon fed to me.
Yeah. No, a lot of those questions that you definitely had from leftover from the first season were answered in that second season. And I loved it, in all honesty. And
I'm glad.
And I just, in all honesty, kind of makes me want to watch those movies too, just to see what's different, right? And because if you remember how Made in Abyss, they had some subtle changes, some subtle differences in between the movies and the seasons. Yeah. That's honestly why I want to watch those, is because they have those subtle movies or those subtle differences, okay, or clarification or expansion on the information that's out there, right? And it's being that this is an original and there's no source material, I'm kind of interested in seeing if they do have expanded information on the world as a whole, Okay. Also, we got, speaking of the Geasses and everything like that, we were told that every Geass has a drawback. Like there is a drawback to the Geass, right? Not just like for him, I guess his drawback is, it has to be eye contact and it can only be used once. That's his drawback. The other one can use it as many times as he wants, but he can only use it within a certain time for a certain amount of time within any given area, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And his heart literally stops when he uses it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that was heart attack on a plate. Literally. Yeah. Every time you use your Geass, it gives you a legitimate heart attack.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Also, I loved the fact that we got more information about CC, got to learn about her past and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then you learned about how you're able to, how she became the way she is and how that whole deal works. And then you learn about the Emperor, and then you learn about how everything works with him. And then you learn about Vivi. It's like they came out of the woodworks throughout this whole season, just throwing all this information at you, closing all these doors and questions, answering questions I didn't even have questions on, but they answered the question anyways for me. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. It was wonderful. It was incredibly enjoyable. And now some of them I did have to watch in dub because I unfortunately I couldn't devote so much, all my time to it. The ones I did watch in subbed. And the voice acting in subbed, just as good as before. Voice acting in dub was a bit jarring if you only watched one or the other. But not bad. Not bad. They had some decent talent on this one. Nobody I recognize as, oh yeah, they did this too. Oh yeah, they did that too. So I think the production was well done on the voice acting, the animation, the story, the music at times was amplified emotion, to say the very least. One of the things are we able to talk about certain artillery? Some late game artillery?
It's been out for nearly 20 years. I'm gonna say sure.
Okay. So they came out with the big boom. Like they called this weapon a Freya. I forget what the acronym stood for, but
Well, yeah, they talked
Essentially,
about.
it meant you're not going to be there no more.
Well, yeah, and they had tried using that or talked about it in the first season. It just came to fruition in the second season, and it's basically the equivalent of our atomic bombs.
Yeah. Well, the first one was an atomic bomb with a limiter on it. The others removed the limiter, which just absolutely made them 10 times, I think, more destructive. Granted, 10 times more unstable. So if the act of firing the projectile had the low risk of it blowing up 5 feet from the barrel.
Yeah.
But they brought nuclear war or atom bomb war to the forefront of this not final battle, but like final major confrontation that was visually what? And
yeah.
The willy-nilly use of these weapons just astonished me. The the strategy, let's call it, the strategic mind that both Lelouch and his brother had were beyond my capabilities.
Yeah.
Granted, there was a time, there was a very minor time that I could overlook very easily. That was essentially, oh, you did this. Well, I did this to counter that. Well, I thought you'd do that, so I countered this. Well, I thought you'd do that. Well, I countered this. I mean, the final battle was essentially that. It very drawn out with like 100 different moving parts.
Yeah, it was definitely reminiscent of a chess game. But then again, a lot of this,
it was meant to be.
Yeah, a lot of the show, the core concepts and everything else are really kind of drawn out and drawn into that ideology for it. So it is very reminiscent of chess and chess pieces and how everyone's moving along the lines for those chess pieces. You know, like who's a pawn, who's a king, who's a rook, who's a knight. And then he also points out people that he's like, I've never been able to beat this person, or these people are actually really good. And then you learn about their personality and how they view and interact with each other. And one of the interesting things is in Code Geass, Lelouch's brother checks with a king, which was really done in a real life Masters game before.
I think I've seen what you're talking about here, and that was a strategy to get more time.
Yeah,
I mean, here it did too. If you think about it, here it did too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I like that parallel. I didn't see the parallel before, but yeah, I like that parallel.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's straight up that's a real life for anyone that doesn't know. Like that actually did happen once before in a chess game. And people were like, can you do that? They called in officials and everything like that. And they were questioning it, and they brought in the rules and they're like, I got to add 5 minutes back. Got to add time back onto the clock and this and that, blah, 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 blah. It was like, it was a thing. It was a real thing.
It was a ploy. It was a ploy that worked. But the funny thing is the guy that was done to was about to make it. Then he looked at it, he goes, huh? And he looked at the judge. He goes, what? What? The confusion was blissful. Anyway, here again, masterful. I enjoyed it. I was shocked by it. Even knowing how it ends and knowing everything like that, the lead up to the instructions, the lead up to the final moves of one of the final battles, you're like, that's why it was worded in this particular way rather than, what would make things easier for me. And I mean, I suspected what was going on for probably episode 18 on. It was sad when it happened, but like if you're paying attention, if you try to pay attention, it's very clear, probably far earlier than that. But yeah, it's a damn good watch.
It is a great watch. It is a great watch. It's well worth the watch for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't make you cry. It doesn't make you feel all kinds of sad. There are some times where you just like, are you absolutely joking right now. This is infuriating. And then it resolves itself and you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. One of the high points for this, for me, one of the things that stands out beyond everything else is, depending on which side you're on, your convictions and your motivations are literally identical to one another. The outcome you're seeking is literally the same. The path in which you're choosing to operate, your modus operandi, exactly the same as the person you're fighting. The only difference is you started from a different location.
Yeah.
You're following a different general. Everything else, like the title of this podcast is "The Path to Hell is Paved with Good Intentions." I was astonished.
That's not the name of this podcast. That's the name of this podcast is Featured Anime Podcast.
No, sorry, the sub, like the Featured Anime Podcast with the subtext of the subtitle. No?
Oh, that's left over from last week. I never changed it.
Oh, it still works. Season 1, season 2, it still works on this one.
And again, that's only on the live stream. I mean, like, it'll probably be that different based on the content.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It might change during I think it's a fair subtitle. I think it's a fair second title for the topic, because with the exception of two people, I think everyone who was acting in their own best interest truly believed that they were doing it for the betterment of everyone else. So
yes, I honestly agree with that 100%.
It's very clear why they fought as hard as they did, because you can't.
Well, like, I mean, not only that, you learn, because everyone ultimately they want peace, right? And again, going back to what you were saying, the vessel, the method in which they're going to try and achieve it. Lelouch even realized that. He understood what they were trying to achieve, what they were reaching for, what they were trying to do. And that is why he still took it on himself to continue forward with it. Right. And the end, you have very key things that are happening at the end. They don't explain, they don't go into greater detail, but you can assume that even at the very end, for everything that happens at that last moment, all of it, every second of it was all planned. Like, and the people that were rushing in the last, he obviously is what I would assume was, had communicated to them what his plans were, or at least to select individuals.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were a few people of import, let's call them, who were in the know, who had sly looks, who decided that, okay, this is truly what's going on and I'm okay with it. And, if you're not okay with it, then, fly kite.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is you have that ending retribution, right? You have that final point where you understand and certain other individuals finally understand what he was achieving, what he was reaching for, what he was trying to gain from everything that had happened, everything that he had done, and everything else. I mean, you have those people that truly understand at that point, in a sad way, sadly, but truly understand what he was reaching for, what he was trying for. I mean, like, that is
what he was striving for.
That, in my opinion, was one of the pinnacle moments, one of the best points of giving how this anime should have ended. There's so many different ways, so many different things that they could have done. I am glad that they did it the way that they did, because honestly, it was a solid ending. It was beautifully ended to where even if there wasn't anything after this, and I'm not saying there is, all right, because I know there's a lot of other stuff out there, and I'm not saying there isn't, but it is a solid ending. It definitely wraps it up.
Yeah, like obviously there's no loose ends. This is a phenomenal show, and I can't gush about it enough. Well, I mean, I could, but I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin the reason for watching it.
Right. Yeah. So How about we go with the rating, sir?
Okay. So it is April 1st. I think I'd like for you to go with a rating first on this one. Change it up a bit. What do you think?
Nope. As tradition would dictate, kind sir.
Hurtful.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this?
It's going to sound like a joke because it's April 1st, but I promise it's not, as of recording at the very least. This is not an April Fool's joke. I'm giving it a solid 10 for both seasons. Like, it's a 9 for season 1 if you watch it by yourself. 2, because of season 1, I'm giving it a solid 10. I find very few, if any, actual faults. And the faults that are there are so minuscule, I overlook them for the greater good of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, I highly recommend this for anybody to watch. I highly recommend completing the show. And yeah. And you?
For me, I'm giving it a 9.
Why?
For reasons that I honestly can't talk about because of spoilery territory.
All right. Do you feel like that? Okay. So yes or no on this one?
It is well worth the watch. It's well
worth
the watch.
Spoilery. What's keeping it from the 10?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there's like some other things that play along with it too. Animation was still pretty solid. However, you had people that died, literally should have died, that ended up not dying. You had people that came back. And
you can't bring logic into this. You told me that last season.
I'm not bringing logic into it. I'm bringing what the heck did I just watch, right? And then they don't really explain. They do a pseudo kind of explanation on it. It's like, what does that even mean? What is that? And then you have certain other people that end up doing something else, and then you don't get a real resolution or an explanation as to why.
Okay. I disagree, obviously, because I gave it a 10, but fair enough.
Yep. All right. So next week, we're going to watch Bofuri Season 2, which was a recommendation of, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my jib.
I like
it. If you feel like we did too much justice, not enough justice, or anything like that, feel free to let us know. All our contact information and everything else is available in the show notes, of course. And you can also reach out to us and talk to us and hang out with us in the chat, twitch.tv/featured anime podcast for whenever we go live. And same thing on YouTube. You can go ahead and follow and subscribe to us on both channels. You can follow us on both and join us whenever we're live. And then, of course, on Discord as well. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.